Back to live lessons. Uh, we're having technical difficulties, which happens from time to time with the streaming stuff, as you all know, who have watched us at any length of time. We have these technical hiccups every now and then, and we've learned to just kind of flow with them. I hope you are all still doing well. If you have problems, let us know in the chat. We'll try and calm it down, do what we can. But who knows? Some server in Arizona went down for all we know. So. Anyway, glad to be back. Glad to have with us Earl Klugh. Earl, so glad you're here.
Good to be here.
Can you open us up with that song again?
Okay.
Now,
okay.
what song is this that you're going to play?
It's Burt Bacharach classic, Alfie.
Alfie.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
You get such a sweet sound on the instrument. Now, how did you, for an arrangement like that, how do you come up with an arrangement? What's going through your head as you're trying to take a melody and put it into a solo guitar arrangement?
I'm looking at, different ways to approach a melody. Sometimes what I do, I try to just try to give it a flair by going up a half step, or going down a half step, different things that kind of can color the melodies as you play,
Do you work it out on guitar, or do you work it out on another instrument?
No, it's guitar.
You work it out on guitar?
Yeah.
But I hear you also play piano as well.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Not to the extent I play guitar, but piano is a really, for me, it's a vital tool, because a lot of my writing, I still write on the piano. Yeah.
What instrument did you learn first? The piano?
The piano, yes.
Piano first?
Yeah.
And where did you grow up at?
Detroit, Michigan.
In Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, back in the 60s.
Yeah.
I was playing, yeah.
And you took piano lessons, I assume?
Yes,
when you
absolutely.
were a kid, sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Did you have any formal instruction on the guitar, or how did you know that you wanted to play guitar?
Oh, I always wanted to play the guitar. My mom bought a piano with the hopes that either me or my brother would play the piano, but I didn't really care very much about the piano. I wanted to play the guitar. So after some years, I was able to you know, get the guitar I wanted, nylon string guitar.
When did you start playing?
1964. I was maybe 1963.
And so you were about how old at that time?
10.
You were 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of formal instruction? Take lessons from somebody or something like that?
Oh, I did take piano lessons, and I took piano lessons for a couple of years, and then I talked my mom into getting me a guitar because I was set on it, and she saw that, so it made it easier for me.
And did you have formal lessons on the guitar? Take
yes,
from anybody?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you know, and I took lessons on the guitar for about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very good because I had, you know, the piano background
Yeah.
with it, you know, and so that really helped, you know. After that, you know, it was just a matter of, you know, we'd go to music stores and get sheet music and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and kind of advanced from that point.
Did you come from a musical family? Did other some of
No
your
one else
brothers?
in my family.
Really?
Yeah, I was the only one. I was the renegade.
I was the only musician in our family as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
a family of, I think I have one cousin that plays guitar, as far as I know. So,
Wow.
it's funny how music can change a family. Everyone after kind of my generation, all of my brother's kids, they all
Mhm.
play, and everybody's had music in their life for
Wow.
some reason. Wonderful. How did the nylon string guitar, which you're so associated with now, did you start out on nylon string?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a very good reason for it. That was, you got to remember, back in the '60s, and that was the time of folk music.
Right.
You know, now there were a lot of people playing steel string guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what possessed me to get the nylon string guitar. I think maybe what it was that that was the guitar my mom saw and got for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad she did, because it ended up being a very comfortable instrument
Yeah.
for me, you know. And from the moment I started, you know, I knew it
Yeah.
was going to be my instrument.
It's easier on your fingers to start with, I think,
Oh,
on
yeah.
the nylon string than
Oh
on
yeah, then on a
the
steel string.
steel string, was a little harder and rougher on your fingers to
Mhm.
try and play and learn on and things
Yeah.
like that. You can make chords a little bit easier on nylon string.
Right,
The
exactly.
wider neck.
Mhm.
So lots of advantages for those of you who are considering, you know, maybe your kids or something like that are starting guitar. Nylon strings, not a bad way to start.
It's very true.
The width of the strings is a little bit wider. It's a little bit more easier on your fingers to be able to do that. What are some of the players that influenced your concept of the guitar? Who'd you listen to? Who were you excited about listening to when you were just learning how to play?
Oh boy, I tell you, my biggest influence was Chet Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
and just by chance, I was watching a television show with my mom. I had to be 12 maybe, and I saw this guy come on television, and you know, he started playing, and he wasn't singing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, this should be good, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
watching, and you know, I'm like, man, this guy's playing the melody and the bass notes
Yeah.
and everything. And that was kind of like, well, it's kind of like the piano. You have all of those notes
Right.
available. And you know, that was Chet Atkins. And yeah, after that, you know, every week I would go out and buy. My mom would give me an allowance, and I would try to learn all the songs on a Chet Atkins album every couple of weeks. You know, that would be, you know, and the better I got, the more albums I got. You know.
Yeah.
So
and
it was
you
fun.
play eventually. When was your first time that you actually met Chet Atkins?
Oh gosh, I met Chet. I'd have to say 77, yeah.
And so
77.
you were probably in your 20s at that point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
young.
He influenced so many players.
Oh man, yeah, just
Uh,
incredible.
Oftentimes we'll be playing guitar and we think of it kind of linearly, as it can just do one thing at a time, one melodic line at a time, or you're You're either playing the melody, or you're soloing, or you're doing chords. And Chet was really the first one that was widely known that put it all together. You had the bass going, you had the harmony and the chords, and you also had the melody up on top. And I remember the first time I heard him, and it was just like, how do you get all these sounds out of one instrument at the same time? You know. Many of you remember we had Tom Bresh on the show a few months back, and what a joy to hear all that Merle Travis style is kind of where that probably started from. I guess that's where Chet got it from.
Exactly.
And you're actually here in town for the Chet Atkins Appreciation Society convention, which is going on right now.
Going on right now, yeah.
Because you recorded a couple of projects with Chet as well.
Yes, from time to time we would play on each other's records and stuff like that. And from time to time, Chet would get called to do benefits and stuff. And I went with him a couple times on those trips as well. You know, he was always doing something for somebody else.
Yeah, he's always so gracious with all of that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your guitar. What kind of guitar are you playing today?
Paul McGill.
Paul McGill.
Yeah, and Paul is a really dear friend of mine and a great builder right here in Nashville. You know, so that makes it very easy for me. You know, it's like whenever something happens, I just pick up the phone and Paul, come help me or something. This stuff isn't working right now.
Your guitar looks like just a standard nylon string guitar, the right?
Yeah.
What kind? Do you know what kind of pickup? I mean, is it a
McGlish? Yeah.
McGlish pickup?
Yeah.
Does it just get such a wonderful sound?
Yeah.
When you're playing a concert, are you what kind of? You using any sort of processing when you're doing shows and things like that?
You know, I travel with the sound man, and it makes it very easy on me because you know, especially with just concentrating on the one instrument when I'm doing solo shows, that's really great. And then when I travel with my band, you know, it's pretty much the same instrument. You know, I enjoy doing the solo shows, and I really enjoy doing the band shows. So it's worked out well for me over time. You know, it just all the electronics finally caught up to what they used to be, or what they are now. You know, because what used to be was I probably have some pictures at home where still, you know, I had a pickup that was taped to the side of the guitar. Yep. You've been there.
It was just kind of pressure sensitive pickups back in the early days.
Yeah, they didn't sound very good at all.
Very nasally sounding, very harsh sounding.
Yes.
Pickup construction has come a long way since those early days.
Yeah. Oh boy.
What about managing feedback on a nylon string instrument? Wow, I know when I do nylon in any sort of live setting, it's just so prone to feedback. How do you manage that? Do you manage that with EQ, or do you have any?
You know, the McGlish pickup, and there's several companies now who have competing pickups like that. I mean, there is really no feedback. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's really good. I mean, now if you sit your guitar down and there's another note in the room, you quickly know that you're racing, you know, because it's going to get louder and louder and louder. But, you know, those are the burdens we carry.
As guitarists, yes, that is true. That is so true. And I noticed the pickup here that it has actually 6 different sensors on it, so it's not like one under saddle pickup as on my nylon string. It's just kind of a one under the saddle ribbon.
Yes.
But that one has individual ones. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What about strings? What kind of, do you have any special strings, or what do you use for normally?
You know, pretty much I just use regular strings, Diodario, you know, those.
What classical strings, nylon strings, come in various tensions. There's extra hard tension and down to hard, and I think there's like 2 other levels in there too. Which do you have a preference on?
I prefer lighter strings.
The lighter strings with a little bit of movement and give in the strings.
Yeah. And the nylons are really good now. You know, years back, you know, it would be hard to get a set of nylons that were in tune, and especially the nylon only. It's just always a iffy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
How often do you change your strings? This is something our learners ask all the time.
really,
About, how often a set of strings needs to be changed. How often? Well, you're playing all the time.
yeah.
So
Well, the nylons, they last probably 3 times as long.
yeah.
The bare nylons than the wound ones.
Yeah.
But the wound ones have gotten a lot better because they've almost gotten rid of all of the squeak. I mean, you get some, but I mean, it always, when I would record in the older days, I would play, I think it sounds good, and then it's like, oh man, I'm hearing this squeak, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing, So things have gotten a lot better. Not perfect, but a lot better. It makes it easier on us guys.
Now, your touch on the instrument has always been so sweet, and some of that is just how you play the instrument. You don't play with a pick.
No.
And you play with your fingers,
Mm-hmm.
and more of a classical sort of a way of approaching the guitar.
Yes.
What about? Do you have fake nails? I know a lot of players have fake nails and stuff like that.
No. I just my real nails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know we've had many players that come in. Well, of course, Tom Bresch and some of these others that are really laying into it. Oh gosh, it would tear my nails up. My nails get tore up just on normal playing.
Yeah.
So, wonderful. We've got a couple of questions coming in. We have one. Do you have any kids? Is anybody in your family musical in that sense?
No, I'm the only one. Yeah, my brother never got into it, and so I was the oldest and he was the youngest, and that's the way it was.
Now, when did you start on your professional career? When was the first big gig that you had? I'll go back even further. When was the first paid gig you had? Just a little gig that you had?
Oh boy, there was a club in Detroit, Michigan, and it still is standing, and it was the best jazz club in the Midwest at the time, and I was lucky. I lived about a mile away from this club, and by this time, I was in high school, and what we would do on the weekends, we would get together, all of our high school friends, guys who could play piano, sax, whatever. We'd get together and we'd go to clubs and we'd sit in and have Sunday matinees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was, how I got really started and got interested in jazz, because I really wasn't, really interested in jazz. I thought it was, kind of far out.
Yeah.
But there were a few things that happened along the way, as I was listening to music, I kind of started to gravitate that way, because it seemed like something, it was more of a challenge than what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I just, I remember we went to this club, and we were, a few of my buddies, and the owner would let us stand in the back on the Sunday matinees. And, so we started playing together at each other's houses, and once a couple of us got driver's license, it was all over. So we were going back and forth to everybody's house, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that we were doing this, we still, we've been together in some form or other, our whole lives. It's like Ray Parker Jr., the guy who did Ghostbusters. Yeah, we used to go from his house to my house, and because we were the only ones that our moms would let us take the car. Everybody else was afraid. And my mom's car got beat up a couple times, but we lived through it. It was good. Yeah, I had to be a really good boy that summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when was the first time you had your first big break? I heard earlier on that you were in met George Benson and were in George Benson's
Yeah, I was in. Yeah, I
band
played
for a while.
Yeah, yeah. But I met George when I was, gosh, when I was 17, and
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, and so George was in his 20s at the time, and he was traveling, and so I went backstage after one of his shows, and George looked at my instrument and he said, "Man, can you play that thing?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You know that's a classical guitar, don't you?" I'm like, "Well, yes, Mr. Benson, I know it's a classical guitar." He said, "Well, let me hear you something play. Let me hear you play something." And I played a song. He says, "Man," he says, "you got really good technique. You need to work on that. Just work on your technique." He says, and it'll come right along, and he would come to Baker's, every maybe 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And when he'd come to town, I'd go to the hotel and I'd sit there and watch him play and try to imitate him. And we'd go out for lunch, and with me and some of my buddies, it was kind of like Stand By Me with guitars.
Yeah. Yes. And so you're probably late teens at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you started playing with him, and then were you on the road? I mean,
Well, I played with him once in a while for things. He would call me to do things from time to time,
Mm-hmm.
But when I really got in his band, I think I was 22 at the time.
No, okay.
And so he was playing a series of clubs in the Bay Area, and something happened, and he couldn't find another guy to fill in on organ or anything. So he flew me out there, and so it was like 2 guitars, bass, and drums for that weekend. And from that, we from time to time he'd call me up, and he says, "Earl, I gotta, we can go over here and do this little gig over here, and we became really good friends, and that's kind of how things grew,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And he's been such an influence as well on the other coast
Yes.
for guitarists, and is still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, still going strong. Let's see, we've got a couple of questions coming in here. Daniel WN is asking, what is your favorite Chet Atkins song to play?
My favorite Chet Atkins song to play. Let's see, now that's a really... Almost all of Chet's songs are my favorite songs, so I have to... here's the one that I really like the best. It was a song written by Marty Robbins, and
Gorgeous. Down in the West Texas town of El Paso by Marty Robbins. Wow. Now, for a simple melody like that was in the key of C, and you're just trying to. What are some of the things that you're thinking as you're trying to put that melody to a solo arrangement? Yeah, putting the chords on the bottom, melody on top.
Yes. Yes.
And then throwing some different chords along the way to create some...
Yeah, just to take the monotony out of the, some of the, some of the things, it's like you really try to look for just
even there, you're taking a melody, taking a regular melody and harmonizing it in sixths, on the instrument. Very common thing to do on a nylon string guitar. It sounds beautiful. And all those little combinations like that, sixths, tenths, where you're just using an octave, sixth. All those ways to harmonize a melody, put the melody on top and these harmony notes on the bottom. It's a real easy way to build a little arrangement with using sixths and thirds and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's great.
Let's see, we've got a couple other questions in here. N. Lou Becker 2000 is asking, what is your number one tip to pass along to students of acoustic guitar? It's kind of a big question, broad question there. Any tip for acoustic guitar learners, folks that are trying to learn acoustic guitar?
Well, I started, luckily I started with the nylon string guitar. I probably would have gotten very frustrated with the steel string. I really tried, and I never went back. But it's, what I like about it is, you have a chance to have a light touch. You don't have to, feel like you're just burdened with the steel strings, and so I was always, even to this day, all of my strings are as light as I can find them, and that takes a lot of, for me, it takes a lot of the worry out of it, as far as just the physical thing of it,
What are some of the more memorable? You've played with so many folks over the years. I have it written down here. A few of them: George Shearing, Chick Corea, Bob James, George Duke, of course George Benson, Al Jarreau, we mentioned, and probably 1,000 other players along the way. What are some of your most memorable musical experiences?
Oh boy, off the top of my head, it was first time I played at Carnegie Hall.
Oh,
that was really exciting.
Yeah.
And you kind of know you're in the big leagues when you're at Carnegie Hall. And so I was after my little segment, I was kind of standing in the wings, and I looked around, and it was Paul Simon. I said, man, it can't get any better than this. What else is going to happen to me?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we'll let Earl rest for just a second while we get some announcements and give away some stuff, and then Earl's going to play another song here for us. We've got we've kind of declared this Jazz Month, and so we offered some jazz resources this month. One of them is the Real Book. So I was trying to think of great jazz learning resources. I know I've played a million gigs, and this has been the one thing on my music stand, has been the Real Book. Our resources sale this month, we offered the Real Book 1. This is the first edition. We offered that last year, and they have a Real Book 2 that has a whole other batch of tunes in it, Just the Way You Are and Georgia and all sorts of great songs that weren't in the first edition, so they're in the Real Book 2. And so that is part of our resources for July. Also a great book called Creative Chord Substitutions for Jazz Guitar. It's been around, since the 80s by Ed Arkin. That is a kind of a jazz theory book, but written from a guitar player's perspective. And that book has taught me more than probably any other single book. And so we offered that in our resources for this month as well. So check those out. The links for that, Fabian, our wonderful unpaid moderator, is putting those links up there for you. You can also go down, if you're looking at the Ustream window, you can go down to the blue button underneath the Ustream window, and that will get you to all the resources that we're offering for this wonderful Jazz Month that we're doing right now. But I wanted to give one of those away. So we're going to give away, this is a Real Book 1. This is the first Real Book, and we're going to give that away to one of you lucky folks. The winner of this is You Relax, U-R-E-L-A-X. You Relax, I guess is how you do it. You Relax, you have just won Real Book 1. So congratulations. That's always fun. Go ahead and send us an email at service@legacyinstruction.com with your mailing address and phone number and all that sort of stuff, and we will get that out to you and go from there. Before we play one more song, I want to talk about, you've got so many great things coming up here. I saw on your schedule that you're doing a week at the Blue Note in New York City coming up.
Yeah, coming right up. Yeah.
That's in, let's see, what do I have here? I have the end of July 29th through August 3rd,
Yes.
which correlates to the release of your new CD.
How about that?
Funny how that works. And tell us about the new CD. What's the name of it?
It's called Handpicked Guitar.
Handpicked Guitar.
Yeah, and these are all songs that I have loved and enjoyed, and I think that's a pretty good title for what it was,
Yes.
because all the songs are different in style and everything, but they're all favorites of mine, So
Is it a solo project, or are you with a band?
it's a bit of both in a way, because most of the songs are solo, but I did some duets. I did a duet with Bill Frisell,
Yep.
and I did a duet with Jake Shimabukuro.
Oh, yeah.
And gosh, let me not blank out on my my third. Help me. Can't think right now. Vince Gill.
Vince Gill.
Gosh, I just played with him last night.
And you were playing with Vince Gill last night. I tell you, this is the week to be in Nashville.
Yeah, it is.
We've got, of course, the NAMM convention, the music convention, but it's also the Chet Atkins Appreciation Society convention, which is kind of the main reason that you're down, is to play for that. Because there's all these players in town, there's been some just ridiculous music things happening this week, and one of them was last night at Third and Lindsley, wonderful music club here in Nashville.
Yeah, just amazing.
With the Time Jumpers, Grammy-winning Time Jumpers, and you sat in with that? Did they know you were coming? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I called Vince before, make sure.
Yeah.
It was all right.
It's a fantastic venue.
Yeah, it is.
Gorgeous sound system. And I saw a clip that you had put up in your Facebook page. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Looked like a lot of fun.
Lots of fun.
You've got some other things coming up. I have down here October 11th that you're going to be a part of the Smooth Jazz Cruise with, just about 30 different people. I tell you, everybody on there was fantastic. And you do that every year, the Smooth Jazz Cruise?
It kind of it moves from place to place, and time to time. There's several cruises, but this one is a really nice one. They all are very nice, but this one is it's a good time of year, I guess I'm saying, to take it. Yeah.
And let's talk about, and then you do your Weekend of Jazz events. And I have down here got one coming up in November.
Yes.
Earl Klugh's Weekend of Jazz, and then another one in April, following April. And you can look at those. We didn't have the link, Fabian. I'm sorry, so sorry I didn't give you the link for that. If you're interested in being a part of that, you can go to weekendofjazz.com and get all the information about the upcoming events on that. Tell us what those are about, the Weekend of Jazz.
It's something that I kind of stumbled onto. I was looking for something a little different than picking up the phone. We were able to get some people together who like the idea of having jazz weekends. And so I host in the spring and in the fall Earl Klugh's Weekend of Jazz. And it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I've heard such great things about it. Excuse me. Before we move on to bigger and better things, can you play us another song?
Oh yeah.
What are you going to play for us? What is this?
Let me see.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot there. gorgeous. What's the name of that song?
Mirabella.
And that's a song that you wrote?
Yes.
Because I remember I've got the project that was on.
Oh, wow.
That was from a long time
Long
ago.
back, yeah.
Do you remember what project that was from? You've done, I have written down here in my notes that you've done 32, 33 CDs along the way.
Yeah.
Wow. Just an amazing, prolific career that has blessed so many of us along the way. Yeah.
Oh, just thank you. Thank you, because this is really fun.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to kind of allow Earl to get a drink of water and switch some things here on the set. Hang around for the second half, actually just the last little bit. Earl's going to play a little bit more. We're going to answer some of your questions, and we'll see you in just a few moments. Stick with us. Hey there, Steve Krenz here, and I have some exciting news. We're finally finished with our brand new guitar course. You know, when we asked our students what they would most like to see from us next, it was overwhelming: fingerstyle guitar. So that's right, we've created fingerstyle guitar. Learn and Master Spotlight Fingerstyle Guitar is our newest addition to our line of guitar courses. This is the result of popular demand from our friends and followers, and I couldn't be more pleased with how it's turned out. You know, imagine sitting down with just you and your guitar and playing a solo fingerstyle arrangement of one of your favorites. You know, I created this course so you'll have the tools to do just that. We've got special guests, interviews, basic, intermediate, advanced lessons in everything from traditional acoustic fingerstyle playing to arranging songs for solo guitar to classical jazz guitar, Merle Travis style picking with several stops musically in between. This is going to be a very thorough course, so get ready to take your guitar playing to an entirely new place. All right, thanks for sticking around with us. Thanks for your patience on that. Hey, let's give away one more thing. I wanted to give away, this is a DVD. This is the great Joe Pass.
Yeah.
I was looking today. He died in 1994. That's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that he's been gone that long.
I know.
This is a Joe Pass DVD, Joe Pass Jazz Lines. We're going to give this away. Wow, this is him talking about scales, arpeggio, his approach to minor seventh, major seventh chords, these melodic lines. Wow, if you're interested in learning about jazz, solo guitar arrangements of jazz, wow, Joe Pass was a true master, true master. Someone's going to win this. The winner of this is Keegs61. Keegs61, you have just won a Joe Pass Jazz Lines DVD. So send us your information, Keegs. I think I know that. Keegs, are you? You're one of our main folks on the board. So congratulations. Thanks for doing that. All right, we had a couple of questions that have come in before we wrap it up. Tobincito is asking, how do you select the songs to record for a project?
That's always an interesting dilemma. It depends on what flavor I want the recording to be. Do I want to do a trio, solo, orchestra record? You know, all of those things I kind of look at.
And you've done all of those over the years.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of with this new project that is just coming out. You know, it had been a long time since I've done a few solo records, but I've never did anything very much where you'd sit across from the guy and you'd make your music. You know,
Yeah.
So that was exciting for me to put that together with some of my friends. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's always duets. That's the one thing that I really think is very unique to guys like us guitar players. You know, we have these are like mini pianos in a way, and you have that ability to take it out of your case, sit down. It's almost like a friend.
Yes.
You know everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing better.
Yeah.
Nothing better.
That's right. Coming home after a long, hard day.
That's right.
At work, just to sit down and play and enjoy your instrument. I know many of you are just in battle right now with trying to learn, and you're wrestling with whatever your the particular mountain you're wrestling with right now, whether it be bar chords or learning how to solo or whatever. But always leave time in your life at the end of the day to pick up and just make music with your guitar. It's one of the most important things that you can do is to keep that relationship, that musical love for your instrument. If you let it and you just think about the task too much, it'll become dry to you. But it's fun to just play. Just play. That's why they call it playing. Hey, I had a couple of questions that were written in. PSM 32 from New York says, let's see, my all-time favorites, songs from Earl, Dr. Macumba, Vanetta, Laughter in the Rain, Deborah Ann, The Traveler, Night Drive Back in Central Park. Of course, the collaborations with George Benson, gosh, which was a great project. When did you do that, the collaboration?
That was in the early 80s.
Early 80s.
Yeah.
And it was about that same time that you worked with Bob James and you got the best Grammy for Best Pop Instrumental?
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah.
Because that was like 79, 80, something
Right
like
in
that.
there,
In there.
79, I think.
What was the name of that song that you got the Grammy on? Do you remember?
It was for the entire album, but now I can't remember. Now I can't remember the name of the album.
That's 20 albums ago. It's hard to keep up, for goodness sake. He goes on to ask, is it possible for Earl to talk about how you developed your sense of touch on the instrument? You know, he goes on to say, when I hear him, I think of a skater gliding on ice or throwing a rock across a lake and watching it skim. Just such a light touch on the instrument. How did you come up with that? Is that just probably came out of your own messing around with the instrument?
Yeah,
just your sweet sound on the instrument.
Yeah, just the guitar more than my sound, you know. But I just really like, you know, the lightness of acoustic guitar, nylon string guitar.
Nylon string guitar, played in a fingerstyle way without a pick.
Yes.
And boy, you can just tell if it's a song by Earl. You could tell it within a couple of measures. Just it's such a sweet, beautiful sound to it. Stefan from Polska, Krakow, Poland, says, "I have a question. Hope it's not too basic. Can you ask Earl about your guitar playing position? You know, how you hold the guitar. I notice you're using a strap. Do you ever play without a strap? Do you use a footstool sometimes?
Generally I'll play with a strap. Now, you know, I've done both. You know, you know, there's been times when I just sit on a stool and play. You know, for a while, you know, I was experimenting. You know, I was actually sitting on smaller stools and playing, but it seemed to me to be kind of old-fashioned, you know, and so I wanted to at least be as, you know, high as, you know, your own height, you know, it's, you know, because it's kind of hard to engage an audience when you're sitting down like that, you know, so that's why I tried to go that way.
It always looks so comfortable in how you play, and it's angled. You can't really see from that angle, but his guitar is angled slightly up, so it's not flat like that.
Right.
It's angled slightly up, so you can kind of see what you're doing on the instrument.
Right, exactly. And, from there, or from.
And you notice even when he has it on his leg, or when he's holding it, the guitar is basically in the same position. So it's not, he's not coming down and going up, and coming down and going up. Fantastic. All right, we got to get out of here. Let's give away a couple more things. Earl had graciously brought, Garrett, I'm going to need another name, had brought a couple of CDs. So if you agree to autograph these before we go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We'll give away a couple of these.
That'd be great.
First one is Naked Guitar, which is all solo.
All solo.
All solo stuff. Beautiful project. Yeah. Okay. We got to give this away. I can't fall in love with it too much. The winner of this one is Go Bob Guitar. Go Bob Guitar. You have just won this, but you haven't won anything, Go Bob, until you email us at service@Legacy Instruction. So send us your mailing address and stuff so we can get this out to you, and we'll have Earl sign this. What a treat. The other project that I have, actually, as well, is the Spice of Life. Spice of Life CD. When did you do this? It was...
I think,
2000,
2007, I want to say.
Something like that. Yeah, it was 4 or 5 years ago. Great stuff. Some of it's band stuff,
Yes.
which was very exciting. Some great full band tunes on it. I hadn't heard you with the full, kind of a Latin big band behind you on a couple things. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
The winner of this one is E.W. Taylor. E.W. Taylor, you have just won the Spice of Life CD. So send us your information, and we will get those out to you as well. As we're kind of wrapping up, let me just give you a couple last-minute announcements so we can let Earl go on. We've got our newsletter, which is going to come out next week on, a week from today. We also have this month, we started a new recording challenge. This is our 4th one. You guys are loving the recording challenges. So last month's was a great success. This month, they have changed Ben Bob is the one that handles that and is setting that up. And the theme for this month is Gone Country. Fabian, you're already way ahead of me. You've got the link already up there. If you're interested in being a part, it doesn't matter what your skill level is. It's a good exercise to play a song from front to back and record yourself doing it.
Sure.
Send it in. It's one of the best things you can do learning how to play. And you don't have to, I'm never going to record myself until I'm good enough. Well, if we all waited till we were good enough, we'd never get anything done. You just have to start. And so I'd encourage you to be a part of that. We have the recording challenge. This is our 4th month we've done this, and you folks are loving it out there. So take advantage of that. There are so many great guitar events going on this week, and I'm just going to give you the ones that are here in Nashville. I don't even want to give the ones outside of Nashville. There's so many things going on. Thursday night, our good friend Jack Pearson and his band, you know Jack, right? Is going to be at the Station Inn with his All-Star Blues Band here in Nashville. So if you're in the Nashville area or within driving distance, check that out. Also, the Chet Atkins convention is going on through Friday, if I remember right? Through Saturday. Okay. Many of our learners, we actually have the largest crowd of learners that are here watching live lesson that we have ever had. Thank you all so much for coming and being a part of everything. They're here most of them are here for the Chet Atkins Appreciation Society. What a great convention. So many players are here. Earl's playing, Doyle Dykes is playing.
Yeah.
And 1,000 other great fingerstyle players, and they're all just roaming the hallways. And what's the best thing about that convention is you just sit in the hotel and you just watch the players go by, and folks are jamming till midnight. It's a blast.
Oh yeah,
it is a blast. And then if you're within 500 miles of here, check out Muriel Anderson's All-Star Guitar Night, which is Friday night. Here in Nashville at the new convention center, the Music City Center. You can probably get tickets online at allstarguitarnight.com. Her nights are always just legendary events. I guarantee you that'll be the most star-studded event going on in Nashville that night. There's the Muriel Anderson All-Star Guitar Night. All right, a couple last-minute announcements. Our next live lesson we're going to have is next week on the 16th. That is, we're going to have, continuing in our jazz guitar theme, we're going to have the great jazz guitarist Howard Alden. So Howard Alden is going to be with us next week. So we had 2 guests for the price of 1 this month for you guys. So it's going to be a great time with Howard Alden. We also put a bunch of new lessons up on Gibson Skills House. So check those out. That's the white button underneath your Ustream window. If you click that, that gets to all the lessons that we have over at Gibson Skills House. This week we've got up, I did a lesson on the magic of open strings and a lot of things you can do to incorporate open strings in your chord playing. I have a style lesson on major 7th chords, learning a bunch of different major 7th chord forms. One of the best power workouts we've ever done on finger flexibility. I give you a bunch of different exercises. Exercises I learned from Muriel, exercises I learned from Phil Kagi, and all these fantastic players, some really killer stuff in that workout. That is a tough one. And then our artist interview for the week is Musicians Hall of Fame blues guitarist Will McFarlane, continuing our interview with Will. So check that out. Some of the other guys have put up some song lessons. Let's see, what do they have up? Metal on Metal by Anvil. That's one of the lessons that's up this week. check them out. That's at the white button underneath the Ustream window. If you like our live lessons, please like us on Facebook or like our videos through Ustream. It is a joy doing these. There's a lot of technical things that have to go through to make these happen, as we've already experienced earlier in the lesson. But it is a joy to do, and I hope you all have learned a lot and have enjoyed being with us. Thank you, Earl, for being
thank you.
so gracious with your time to squeeze us in.
Thank you. This is great. It was really a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. That's for sure. It's a lot of stuff.
What's the last song you're going to play for us?
Oh boy. Here's a song I wrote some years ago, and it's kind of followed me around a little bit. And it's a song that I wrote, and I was lucky enough to have Al Jarreau write lyrics for the song, and it's called This Time.
This time. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Thank you so much,
Thank
Earl.
you.
Check out Earl at earlklugh.com. Check out the new CD that's coming out at the end of the month. And enjoy playing your instrument. Work hard at it. Making music is a wonderful thing. It's well worth the investment that you're making into it. Hey, we'll see you next time.